Hey there, Laura here. I am just popping in because it is now like officially winter according to the sky and our savings time. And so but I did want to point out my new ambiance lighting back here. I think we spend so much time at home that we're sort of like, oh, what improvements can we make? So I am really grateful for we have a backyard, and I wanted to just add a little bit of atmosphere, kind of. I like the way they have like rustic weddings and stuff, and our wedding was a little bit rustic with my husband, so I'm trying to bring that back a little bit, sort of have a romantic ambiance. But anyway, I am back to talk with you about how I'm doing since my dad passed the end of this January. And so I can't believe it's been 10 months. It's crazy, almost a year. I can't believe that much time has passed by, and I think we're all in the same boat where it's like, what day is it again? What's my name again? Just because of the pandemic and all of the disruption it's causing in our lives, right? So I am feeling nervous this month because I am going to be having a fertility procedure. So it's going to be sort of our last chance, last step before we do donor eggs, and the procedure is called PRP. So I think it's platelet-rich plasma. And so essentially the idea is that I get injected with the platelets of my own blood and the plasma, and it basically causes the growth factors in my body to heal the cells. So the idea is that all of those growth factors go to that area and then basically heal and bring the best cells and all of that good protein and all those nutrients to that area. And it just sounds awesome. It's very cutting edge for fertility. I think I'm like the 12th person to get it in my clinic. There's very few doctors that offer it in the US specifically for fertility and getting pregnant. PRP is super popular with tennis elbow, and lots of athletes get it for their knees. Some people even get it for arthritis. I was talking with my neighbors a couple of days ago, and they said, oh yeah, my friend got it done in her knee and she feels so much better. So the other thing too that's really cool about it, it doesn't really have any side effects because it's your own body and your own fluids that are like just going into different places in your body. So the idea is that I get this PRP procedure, and then that actually creates better quality eggs. So when I get my last IVF, which will be my 4th IVF, I will hopefully have a better chance of having an embryo, a better quality embryo, and Sam and I can hopefully get pregnant. So we will see what happens. I am nervous about it though, just because I haven't gone through this procedure before and it is kind of innovative. And I think I'm more excited than nervous at this point. So that is that with kind of what is on my mind mostly. I also have some exciting things that are happening with my business. I've been recognized by a couple of major, what can I say, publications. And so I will keep you posted on that, but I'm very excited about that. And I'm sort of like, oh my gosh, is this really happening right now? But I love that I'm able to reach a new audience and to talk to more daughters like you who are going on the dementia journey and really need that support from someone who has been on that exact path, right? So there's all of those things going on. And then of course, we just got out of the election. So I'm sort of just like, okay, I can breathe now, at least. We're not waiting for the results anymore, right? But I also am trying to prepare myself mentally for Thanksgiving coming up in a couple weeks. And of course, my procedure is like the beginning of that week. So it just kind of adds on to the things that I have on my brain. But what I want to talk about today is actually something that one of my earlier videos I believe it was for Father's Day, but it's really this idea of building in joy. And so the key is to do it ahead of time, because especially if we know that it's going to be a distressing time, that we may not have the energy to like even get out of bed that day, right? So the more that we can prepare ahead of time to set ourselves up for success, so to say, we can really find the joy in that day. And we know that it's going to create joy for us because we created it ourselves. We picked those things out beforehand, right? So I am starting to think about what I want to do this year for Thanksgiving. And my mom and I have talked about how, because of her safety, and I know that there's another peak of corona coming soon, that we want to try to keep her as safe as possible, because my husband is still needing to go into work in person, and she's also recovering from knee surgery. So we talked about just doing Thanksgiving over video and maybe just having a meal together. And so that is hard. It's hard that I can't be with my mom on Thanksgiving. I can't hug her. I think that's something we've really been struggling with, especially with her surgery that she just had. But I'm trying to think about a way to do something, like some kind of tradition that I've done in past Thanksgivings. And of course, to add a little bit more sadness to the situation, the last Thanksgiving my mom and I had was with my dad, and he was in like maybe mid to late dementia, but he still hung out with us for a couple hours, and I drove him back and forth, and so it was really lovely having him here. And so I'm trying to think of a way to incorporate him into Thanksgiving this year. And so what I have planned so far is that I want to try some new recipes. So if you are wanting some new ideas, it's a really good time to try out recipes where there's like no pressure whatsoever from in-laws or from your own parents to like have the best turkey or like the most amazing stuffing or things like that, or a delicious cheesecake. So this is kind of a good time to just do trial and error and just have fun spending time with your family creating. I think that when we have such a difficult time like this, where we're all stressed out, everything's disrupted, our routine is completely upside down, especially for you guys with kids of your own that live with you, it's just like everyone is just trying to get along with this new dynamic. It's a really good time to start creating. So if you like art, you can just color, you can do watercolor, even with your family, right? So it's not like, so you all can try to make time for that together. There's a lot of like arts and crafts you can do for Thanksgiving. I actually pick at least one craft to do for each holiday that I do with my husband, because we are, kids at heart. So we like to create things and really appreciate each other's creativity and just like the beauty that we both create and how it's kind of different but also awesome. So and it also strengthens our relationship with each other too, that we can do fun things together. So what our plan is that we are going to try to grill the turkey. So my husband's been grilling more often lately, and he wants to try to grill the turkey, which I think is an awesome idea because we've never tried it, and why not, And I think what I'm also going to do is order a side dish from the restaurant where I ended up getting food for my whole family and our friends last year, just to kind of have a touchstone of, what I remember from last year. It kind of reminds me of my dad being there and my mom being there and our friends being there, even though they're not physically here. But that's kind of what I'm thinking with the food. The other thing I want to share with you is that it's important during this time, especially if you're feeling upset or angry that Thanksgiving is not going to go the way that you really want it to go, you really want to see your family, that it's important to water the seeds of compassion in you. And one way to do that pretty easily, honestly, and something that will like give you a lot of good feelings, is to give instead. And so I am not able to buy like regular Thanksgiving ingredients anymore. I mean, I can, but I would prefer not to eat them because I am on a special diet now, not only for fertility, but also just to try to prevent inflammation, things like that, since research is showing that inflammation is correlated with cancer and dementia and things like that. So I am really trying to eat healthily. I'm on pretty much a Mediterranean diet at this point. And so a lot of the things that I grew up eating and have a very, it's comfort food for me, I can no longer eat. And so I was grieving that idea. And then I saw that my church had sent me an email and they were looking for people to sign up to basically buy Thanksgiving items and donate them. And so I thought, what a really cool way to still connect with this food that that was comfort food for me, but then giving it to someone else that can benefit from it, right? So even just buying those things from my grocery store when I did curbside pickup and just leaving them in my car so that when I am ready to go, I can just drop them off. But just the act of buying them, like clicking them on the computer and then seeing them in my bags really watered that seed of compassion for me. And that might be something that you want to do as a family too, right? That since we aren't able to, at least it's not recommended by the CDC, to see our extended family, why not do something to give back to your community? And so that's pretty much what I have to share today. I hope that you are able to build in some joy next week. Again, I highly recommend that you start to like think about ideas now. And I don't want this to be overwhelming, or I know I read a couple articles and I've heard from my friends who are parents who have kids that live at home. It's just like, oh my God, we have to reinvent like birthdays and all these holidays. I don't think it's necessary that you need to reinvent it. I think that if that feels too overwhelming to do arts and crafts and things like that, just try to do something that makes you happy for even like 5 minutes of Thanksgiving Day, right? So at least you have some time for yourself and you know that you can look forward to those 5 minutes. So maybe letting your partner know like, hey, I actually am going to spend some time, however long however long you have doing this. And so letting them know ahead of time and putting it in your schedule. And not only that, but like really holding on to that time and holding on to that boundary. So if your husband asks you to do something that day, or your wife asks you to do something that day, don't say, okay, fine, and then just forget what was in your calendar, right? It's up to us to really stand by that joy that we've created for ourselves, because that's really how we can sustain ourselves and be happier to live with, right? But also make it a good holiday, even though it's not going to be the same as last year or the years before. But that doesn't mean that we can't find joy in that. Don't forget to subscribe below. I will see you later. Bye.